As we discussed at the top of the program, the Biden administration has finally, after about 2 months, finally published its new emergency temporary standard. You could argue it's not an emergency anymore. But this is to require employees with 100 or more, employers rather, with 100 or more employees to force them to get the COVID shot or get tested for the virus at least once a week. And not surprisingly, numerous lawsuits were quickly filed against the administration, including one by the Attorneys General of Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee. And more are on their way. I think a lot more. Joining me now to talk about the backlash we're seeing is the Attorney General of the state of Ohio, Dave Yost. General, welcome back to the program.
It's good to see you, Tony.
So you have filed one of the lawsuits. Tell us about it.
The lawsuit will actually drop technically tomorrow morning after it's been published by the Federal Register, the regulation. But the bottom line is this mandate completely oversteps the power that the president is given under the Constitution. The president is not our nanny, not our doctor, and the president is not Congress. He doesn't get to write laws.
Is the new rule, and I know it hasn't been completely published, but they've told us what's in it, is it more or less what you expected?
So they're misusing a very arcane little provision in the OSHA law. OSHA, many of your viewers will remember, is the set of regulations to make sure that workplaces are healthy and safe. They cover things like if there's a catwalk on a floor, you've got to have a railing to keep people from falling off. If there's a chromium pit or an acid vat, there are safety requirements to keep people from getting hurt or even dying. But the key is these things are typically part of the workplace. They're not at your home, they're not at the shopping mall, they're at work, and they're specific to work. This use of workplace regulation to control an infectious disease that's everywhere on the planet, not just at work, is an incredible overreach. They're stretching this law to the point where it's going to break and shatter.
Now, in this rule, where employees can be given the opportunity to test in lieu of getting the shot, that is the employees that work in companies that have over 100 employees, they have to pay for that. Is that an unfunded mandate being placed on citizens? And then businesses are going to be forced to let people get off to get the shot. And then if they have negative consequences related to that, they have to give them time off.
Tony, that's exactly right. And, you know, it's wonderful if you're making $100,000 a year and you have to pay for a test twice a week. But what about the folks out there that are, scraping by, trying to raise a family on $12 or $15 an hour? Maybe their spouse is working too. This is a major impact. If you tried to raise taxes by that amount every year on somebody, there would be outcry from one end of this country to the other. But because it's being done as a mandate, I guess that they think that that's okay. I don't.
I was just talking with one of your colleagues, Todd Rokita, from your neighboring state of Indiana earlier in the program, and they're preparing to file 3 lawsuits. Many states, Republican-led states, are filing. It kind of reminds me of a blitz coming from different circuits. Are you optimistic that this is going to prompt the Supreme Court to take this and potentially deal with it before the January 4th deadline?
I'm confident that the federal courts will deal with this, and I think our case is very good to get an injunction. Whether it reaches the Supreme Court or not by that point is probably a little bit unlikely. I guess it depends on the posture of the pleadings. But look, if we think back to the Trump administration, some of my colleagues across the aisle sued Trump every time he sneezed,
Right.
and they got these injunctions in place, and they lasted sometimes for years.
Well, let me go back to the fact that you're filing in different circuits. It would be very easy, I would think, that you're going to get a split decision. You're going to get, one circuit is going to view it favorably. I can see the Fifth Circuit looking at this favorably and saying, no mandate, we're going to put a stay on this. I can see maybe the Second District and some of the others maybe not being so favorable to this. So then you have a split. What then determines the rest, the overall implications here? I mean, will one stay, hold it, or when you have a split, is that when we'll see the Supreme Court step in?
Well, that will depend, of course, on whether the stays are issued as a nationwide stay. But Tony, I can tell you've been watching this stuff for a long, long time. The fact of the matter is, when there is a split between circuit courts of appeal, the Supreme Court is much more likely to pick it up. And given this fascination with using executive power to accomplish legislative ends, I think it's very likely that the Supreme Court will eventually pick this case up. I just don't know if we'll get there by January.
So, Attorney General Yost, those workers that are out there, you described, the ones that are out there that are, they're the ones that are actually showing up to work right now. Those that have not decided just to let the government pay them to stay home, but they're out there working, they're showing up, and I'm grateful for those that are coming to work and being a productive part of society. But now they're looking at this mandate. What hope can you give them that their rights will be protected and they won't be forced to do something or inject something into their body that they have opposition to?
Look, I and my colleagues across the country have been working on this for a couple of months. We're ready to go. We're going to go to court and attack this on multiple fronts. I can't guarantee anything in litigation, but I feel very comfortable that we will get relief from the courts against this unconstitutional and illegal overreach by the President of the United States.
Well, I for one can say this, but I think I speak for many. I am extremely grateful, probably more than ever, for Republican attorney generals who are they're really on the front lines defending the Constitution and our freedoms. And so, General, I thank you for your work and thank you for your collaborative effort with your colleagues across the nation.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk with you, Tony. And if I might, thank you to all of your viewers who are praying for our country. It means a lot to those of us that are out there doing this work.
Absolutely. And they will continue, I'm sure.